The Striker Pump Shotgun is one of the best shotguns in Fortnite, and today we're going to go over all the stats that this gun entails, going from the common all the way up to the mythic. First of all, let's get started with all the similarities and get that out of the way. The very first thing we have to look at when we're looking at this gun's similarities is going to be the shells that it takes. Of course, it's going to take shotgun shells. That should be a standard. Now, the critical hit damage will, of course, stay the same through all the rarities at 1.68, something that's a little different than the normal 1.5 critical hit that we see in various other guns. How much damage that critical hit will do damage-wise will be different between all the rarities. The other things that are going to remain the same is, of course, the fire rate at 0.65, magazine size at 5, and also its damage fall off. First and foremost, before diving into the differences and getting into all the explicit numbers of this gun, is going to be talking about the damage fall off. The very first thing we have to know about this gun is that it is, of course, a shotgun. So the range on it is going to be very, very low, but the damage on it within that range is going to be very, very high. For the sake of argument, if you have 100 body damage that this gun can do, after 7 meters, you will start to see that damage slowly decrease by 4% for every meter you go past the 7-meter mark all the way out to 10 meters. Once you hit that 10-meter mark, it will only be able to do a maximum of 88% of its total damage. After the 10-meter mark, though, it will continue to decrease to only be able to do a maximum of 65% of its total damage all the way out to the 15-meter mark. And at the 30-meter mark, you will no longer be hitting your target. Congratulations. Let's get into each and all the differences between every single rarity of the Benelli M4 that we have here in Fortnite. With the common version of the Benelli, we're going to be looking at a damage per second of 59.28. Now, something I should probably say as well, we're going to see a lot of weird decimal numbers that this gun has because it has actually gotten a buff, and that's what the buff came out to, is a whole bunch of random numbers, so kind of keep that in mind. For the damage per body, we're going to be looking at a 91.2. With the critical hit being a 1.68 multiplier, that'll make the common version of the critical hit at 153. And then the reload time is going to be 5.5 seconds. The uncommon version is slightly better at 62.4 for the damage per second and an overall damage of 96 with a 161 critical hit damage. The reload time will slightly decrease all the way down to 5.25. Going into the rare version, we'll see a pattern that the gun is still going up about the same that it did between the common and the uncommon. It will go up to 65.52 for the damage per second and an overall damage per shot at 100.8, making the critical hit damage multiplier come out to 169. The reload time will go to a flat 5 seconds. Oddly enough, we're not going to see a huge increase between the rare and the epic. That's something we don't see a whole lot of. The epic version of the Benelli M4 only goes up to 68.64 with a damage to the body at 105.6 and the critical hit damage coming out to 177. And the reload time takes another pattern of only going down by a quarter of a second, making it 4.75. The legendary version of the Benelli M4 here doesn't take a big jump, which is something I personally have not seen yet in the stats of going over these guns so far. Normally the epic and legendary have a huge gap between them, but in this case it doesn't. Going up to 71.76 for the damage per second, a total damage of 110.4 and a critical hit damage of 185 with a reload time of 4.5 seconds. Now, Epic Games did introduce the mythic version of the Benelli M4 into Fortnite's creative mode. We see a bigger increase between the legendary and mythic than we do in any other one of these guns, but it's still not a gigantic increase like there normally is. Coming out to 75.66 for the damage per second with an overall damage per shot at 116.4, and the critical hit damage coming out to a staggering 195. But there is something to know here, that the gun is actually capped at 185 for its max damage. So although you could hit every single one of those 12 pellets within the 7 meters, and be hitting their head, this gun, even though it could hit for 195, it is capped at 185. And the reload time actually has a slight increase from the normal quarter of a second that it goes down in its reload time to another 0.05 increase, so making it a 4.2 second reload time. The other thing about this shotgun is that it is a hit scan. A hit scan means that it will immediately hit its target after pulling the trigger. And another thing with this shotgun is that it does have buckshot, which means it has 12 pellets that will be spreading across when you shoot this gun. To make those shots a tighter spread instead of going and fanning out is by simply aiming down sights. This will tighten that hip fire spread, making it more likely to put all those pellets into your target, being able to do more damage. But if the target is farther away, that's when you're probably going to want to hip fire it and at least hit them with some pellets instead of trying to hit them with all the pellets and possibly having a better chance of missing them. The best way to use this gun and use it to its full potential, we have to go back and look at the fire rate at 0.65. The slowest fire rate I've personally ever seen here in Fortnite at this time. That means that it's nearly firing only one shot a second. The best way to pair this gun up with and see its max potential is actually going to be pairing it with a very fast shooting gun like an SMG. By doing this, you can get the initial hit with the striker pump shotgun and flip to your SMG to finish them off. To use this gun and only this gun in short range is possible and can be done, but it's important to know that if you do that, you have to be able to have some cover. It can be difficult to master, but if mastered, it can be very rewarding. Now, some quick fun facts about the actual Benelli M4 is that it was made in 1998, the same year I was born, and started serving in 1999 and still being served to this day. It is a grand total of 3.82 kilograms, which equates to 8.42 pounds, and with its full stock and barrel completely extended, will come out to a staggering 1,010 millimeters, which is equivalent to 40 inches. It is a 12 gauge shotgun. In the real life version, it is a semi-automatic combat shotgun, not the pump action that we see here in Fortnite either. What's really cool about the real Benelli M4 is that it was the very first gas operated shotgun produced by Benelli.